Some drug dealers are doing a deal at the back of their base, and inside, they have an entire operation going down. Meanwhile, a team of former SAS soldiers infiltrate the building like ghosts under the watchful eye of their sniper, taking out everyone along the way. One of the gangsters at the back hears a sound, but the others blow it off as nothing. One of the gangsters begins radioing for his men but gets no response. They decide to move out, but suddenly the lights go out. The soldiers corner the last man, demanding that he identify a photo. The man doesn't know anything, so the soldiers shoot him dead. The soldiers take the cash, gather the drugs, and the leader, Andy, starts a fire. 9 days earlier, we meet Andy, a retired British SAS soldier living alone and working at a tool store in town. One day, he is called into a meeting with his manager, who looks like he just graduated college, about a verbal exchange between Andy and another employee. The manager knows of Andy's military background and is obviously trying to show dominance, but Andy gives him the death stare. Later, he goes to see his therapist, Joanne, and we hear how Andy has been suffering from blackouts and feelings of isolation. Joanne reminds him to keep up with his journal and to reach out to old friends to have support. As she talks about friends, Andy has a flashback to his tour in one of those desert countries. They were on standby waiting for air support when they came under heavy gunfire from one of those turban terrorist groups. As the team is returning fire, a young terrorist runs up behind them. Harper was the one who confronted the kid, begging him not to, but was forced to take him out. In the present, Joanne asks about his dead comrades and if he thinks they're in a better place, but the only thing Andy knows of death is the emptiness in the eyes of his dead friends. We then see Andy's estranged daughter Rachel arguing with her mother Elaine about going out with her boyfriend. But Rachel reminds her that she is 18 and can do whatever she wants. She heads outside where her boyfriend Cassius, the son of a drug kingpin, is waiting to take her out. He tells her he is going away for a few weeks again for the family job, and she is not happy hearing this, but Cassius tells her he is saving enough money so they can disappear together. The two plan to get high together, but he has to pick something up from a friend Harry first. He makes a stop, picks up the stuff, and Rachel realizes he has collected blow and is not comfortable with it. But Cassius tells her it's for his friend Tyler. They get to Tyler's place where other people are there getting high and having a good time. After a while, Cassius gets a call and has to leave immediately for work and leaves Rachel behind in a hurry, asking Tyler to look after her. Instead of leaving, Rachel stays behind and soon comes upon a room where some girls are getting high smoking blow. The girls eventually convince Rachel that it's fun and she should also try it out. Rachel succumbs to the peer pressure and gives it a shot, but she has a severe reaction and a seizure as the girls just stare in shock, doing nothing. Rachel dies, and her funeral is held with Andy in attendance. Afterwards, Elaine tells him he can take anything he needs from her room before they remove her stuff. Andy heads to Rachel's room and sits on her bed, with feelings of regret consuming him. He holds her jacket close to him when he sees Rachel's cell phone get messages from a cache, but the phone is locked. He takes the phone back home where more messages from the cache person come in about meeting up at Harry's with the location. Now, consumed with revenge, Andy grabs a nail gun and prepares to head out. Cassius arrives at Harry's place where Tyler is also there. Inside, Harry and Tyler break the news about Rachel's death, and Cassius gets into a rage. He attacks Tyler, blaming him for not taking care of Rachel, but Tyler explains he had stepped out of the party for a while. Cassius learns where she is buried and storms out angrily. Outside, Andy unknowingly walks past Cassius, storming away. Without a word, Andy kills the man at the door. Dude was probably just waiting for an Uber home. He then barges into the building and begins murking everyone. He walks in on one man getting laid and murks him before he can get a nut off. One man hears the commotion and grabs the blick, but still ends up getting his ass beat and choked out. What an idiot. Andy stops to catch his breath and grabs a pistol. He comes upon Tyler and Harry and shoots Tyler dead. He grabs Harry, demanding to know who Cash is. A man then attacks Andy, wrapping a plastic bag around his head. Harry grabs a gun and prepares to shoot Andy, but both men are swiftly killed by Andy's former SAS buddies. Former SAS Smudge drives an injured Andy back home. Andy expresses how he feels his life is falling apart as he was unable to save his daughter's life. Smudge wonders why he is doing this, thinking he just misses combat and is looking for a way to release his anger. But the right question is how. What sorcery did you use to find Andy? Andy gets back home beaten and battered and rests up. The next morning he is burning his clothes when he gets a call from Elaine. She noticed that he took Rachel's phone and knows the type of person he is and thinks maybe he should let things go. He asks for the password, claiming he wants to see her face again, and Elaine gives him the passcode, asking him to be careful. Andy logs into the cell phone and sees a photo of Cassius and remembers passing him the night before and begins brewing over his next step. Meanwhile, Cassius is sitting in a corner store when some goons enter. They see his watch and begin hassling him, but Cassius ignores the men and leaves the store. The other guys leave after, but Cassius cannot let the disrespect go. He confronts the three goons in the alley and pulls a knife, but a car pulls up, and a woman, Ava, holds a gun on the goons, telling Cassius to get in the car. Ava works with Cassius's father, Lucian. She tells Cassius not to beat himself up over Rachel's death, as it was not his fault. It turns out the product Rachel sampled belonged to Lucian, and it was also spiked with something, and she suspects that someone is making a move on Lucian. Andy goes back to see Joanne, who asks his reason for joining the armed forces. He was young and thought he could make a difference, but ended up taking a lot of losses. He meets up with his buddies in a pub, where he reveals what he saw on Rachel's cell phone and that he needs to find who is responsible. Smudge, however, reminds him that after his last attack, people will be looking for him, and he is going to need firepower. Harper drives Andy to a hotel to meet an arms dealer named Leon and gets himself a high-powered rifle. Leon knows Andy was the one responsible for the attack downtown and warns him he has no idea of the mess he just started. After Andy leaves, Leon tries to get in contact with someone named Callan. At that moment, Andy returns to the room with his rifle and shoots Leon in the leg. He demands to know who Callan is, pressing a blade to Leon's chest. A man bursts into the room, but Harper shoots him dead. Andy then leaves Harper to find out what Leon knows. Ava and Cassius are sitting outside a convenience store to do a routine pickup, but Cassius feels something is different. Ava ignores his feeling and decides to go in alone. She enters the store, but a masked man enters behind her. Gunshots ring out, and Cassius helps an injured Ava out of the store but gets captured. They are brought by men to a vacant quarry, where they come face to face with Callan, who was a distributor for Lucian. He then accuses Ava of being involved with the spiking of the product and collaborating with Lucian to get him out of business. Suddenly, gunshots begin to ring out. Cassius runs for cover behind a car as men begin to fall all around him. During the chaos, Ava also gets shot. Cassius manages to get to a nearby van and escape the scene, with Andy letting off shots at him. The van soon dies at the side of the road, and Cassius gets out in shock until his father comes to pick him up. At the quarry, the men find Ava still breathing, and they manage to get her talking. She mentions Cassius, and Andy goes to shoot her, but Smudge stops him angrily. Ava then tells them they can find Cassius in a warehouse where his father works. Ava dies, and Smudge thinks maybe they are going too far and that Andy has changed. Meanwhile, Cassius is sitting in a room across from Lucian. Cassius blames him for Rachel's death because he laced the product, but Lucian thinks he should have listened and not gotten entangled with the girl. He reveals he had to get rid of Callan because he was getting too greedy and planned to destroy him from the inside. Cassius knows there is a man after him and is the reason he came to pick him up. The man is Andy, and he tells Cassius that they took something from him, and now he is coming to get his revenge. Andy and the guys suit up and hit the warehouse, but they find no one there and think that Ava was trying to save Cassius. The next morning, Andy is at home, still brewing over his loss, and now not knowing where to go. He misses a call from Elaine and is shocked to hear her scared voice begging him to help as someone breaks into her home. Andy's room comes under heavy gunfire, and he manages to kill one of the attackers. He grabs his rifle and heads outside. His buddies spot more men pushing on them, and they escape with men chasing them and opening fire. They manage to take out one of the cars and pull ahead, and the hit team soon comes upon the seemingly abandoned truck. The guys are actually waiting them in the tall grass and open fire on the men with tactical precision. They wipe out the men and hit the road, but soon another car comes chasing after them. They have also driven into an ambush and are forced to hold their position and lay down fire. They manage to move into a building while laying down cover fire, but soon realize they are running low on ammo. More men arrive, and things are not looking well for the group, but they lay down fire and keep moving. A team of hitmen enters the building and begins searching for the men, and Harper silently takes one out with a blade. One by one, the team begins taking out the men, and Andy and Harper lure one man in and capture him. Harper demands to know where Elaine is, and the man swears he doesn't know, but knows someone who does. Lucian learns that they've lost a team of men and decides to leave with Cassius. They are loading into their car when Andy emerges from the shadows. He enters Lucian's car and holds him at gunpoint, demanding to know where Elaine is. Lucian tells him Elaine reminds him of his late wife, who tried taking Cassius away from him until he had her chained and beaten and personally killed her. Andy doesn't want to hear his tales, telling him Cassius is responsible for Rachel's death, but Lucian tells him Cassius had nothing to do with it. He adds to a shocked Andy that Elaine was killed as a result of his actions, so Andy puts a bullet in his head. Cassius hears the gunshot from his car and pulls a gun from the glove compartment. Andy returns to the guys, deciding his revenge is complete. The next evening, the guys have dinner, and Andy wonders if it was a mistake leaving Cassius behind, and he hates leaving loose ends, but the guys don't think Cassius is a threat and is just a scared boy. As they sit there, suddenly gunshots ring out, and all three men are shot and killed. It is Cassius wielding a pistol. It turns out all of Andy's friends have already been killed in the war, and it was him alone on his revenge mission all along. Cassius holds a gun to Andy, but Andy is not scared and stares down the barrel, ready to meet his maker. Cassius shoots Andy in the stomach and leaves him there in the diner to die.